Hi, my name's Ruby, and I'm gonna be talking about today motivation and emotion. So let's get started. Um, Biological basis. So motivation is defined as a need or desire that serves to energize or direct behavior. Learning is motivated by biological and physiological factors. Without motivation, action and learning do not occur. Primary drives. Motivated to act by the basic needs such as hunger, thirst, the need to sleep, and the drive to reproduce. Secondary drives are the desire to obtain, learn reinforces such as money or social acceptance. So, Olds and Milder discovered that rats would press a bar in order to send a small electrical pulse into certain areas of their brains, known as intracranial self stimulation. Instinct theory says that learning a species specific behavior motivates organisms to do what is necessary to ensure their survival. Arousal theory states that there is optimal level of arousal, that is, of alertness activation at which performance on a given task is optimal. Jerkson-Dodson law, which is very important, states that tasks of moderate difficulty, neither too easy nor too hard, elicit the highest level of performance. Opponent process theory is a theory of motivation that is clearly relevant to the concept of addiction. So we are motivated to seek stimuli that make us feel emotion, after which an opposing motivational force brings us back in the direction of the baseline. After repeated exposure to a stimulus, its emotional effect begins to wear off, that is, we begin to habituate to the stimulus. So as we can see here, the opponent process theory, this is a graph of showing you the how a stimulus can be pretty much arousing at a point, and then it starts habituating, going down. So, drive reduction theory of motivation hypothesized that psychological needs put stress on the body, and what we motivated to reduce its negative experience. Homeostasis is a state of regulatory equilibrium, and that we and then and when the balance of the equilibrium shifts, we are motivated to try to right the balance. Like example, like hunger. Hunger, thirst, and sex. The brain provides a large amount of the control over feeding behavior. Specifically, the hypothalamus has been identified as an area of controlling feeding. In the ventromedial hypothalamus, the VMH, the VMH is lesion. The animal eats constantly. The negative feedback loops that should turn off eating has been disrupted. If we damage the lateral hypothalamus, then the animal stops eating, often starving to death. Leptin plays a role in the feedback loop between signals from the hypothalamus and those from the stomach. Leptin is released in response to a buildup of fat cells when enough energy has been consumed. This signal is then interpreted by the satiety centers in the hypothalamus, working as safety valve to decrease the feeling of hunger. Glutistic hypothesis. Glucose is a primary fuel of the brain and most organs. When insulin, a hormone produced by the liver to regulate glucose, rises, glucose decreases. The storage glucostic balance a person needs to eat something. This theory of energy regulation gains support from the finding that the hypothalamus has cells that detect glucose. Lipstick hypothesis is the fat is measured in the and controlled substance in the body that regulates hunger. In reality, both glucose and the body fat are probably monitored, with glucostic homeostasis response for the starting and stopping of individual meals, and lipstick homeostasis responsible for the larger long-term patterns of eating behavior. Anorexia nervosa is an eating disorder characterized by an individual being 15% below ideal body weight. Body dysmorphia is a distorted body image, and bulimia nervosa is characterized by alternating periods of binging and purging. A human can live for weeks without food. but only for a few days without water. The lateral hypothalamus is implicated in drinking, and if damaged, then this results in decrease of drinking. The perioptic area is another part where drinking is involved, and if damaged, it results in excessive drinking. Androgen and estrogens are the primary sexual hormones in males and females. Without these hormones, sexual desire is eliminated in animals and is greatly reduced in humans. Biological theory. Animals, especially lower animals, are motivated by instinct, generally programmed patterns of behavior. Humanistic theory. Abraham Maslow proposed a hierarchical system for organizing needs. Each lower level need must be met in order for an attempt to be made to fill the next category of needs. Theory of motivation. Self actualization occurs when people creatively and meaningfully their own meet their own potential. This is the ultimate goal for human beings according to Maslow's theory. And as we can see, I put a picture of all these categories: self-actualization, self-esteem, love and belonging, safety and security, and physiological needs. Cognitive theories. The factors that motivate behavior into intrinsic or originating from within ourselves, and extrinsic factors coming from the outside world factors. Extrinsic motivators are often associated with the pressures of society, such as getting an education, having a job, or being sociable. Intrinsic motivators are often associated with creativity and enjoyment. Over time, our intrinsic motivation may decrease if we perceive extrinsic rewards from the same behavior. An important intrinsic motivator is the need for self-determination, or the need to contempt and eye control. Another self-efficiency, or the belief that we cannot obtain the particular goal. Social theory. Cognitive dissonance. People are motivated to reduce tension produced by conflicting thoughts or choices. The cognitive dissonance refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, believing, or behaviors. Generally, they will change their attitude to fit their choices and actions. The approach conflict. One has to decide between two desirable options. Avoidance conflict. One has to choose between two unpleasant options. Approach avoidance conflict is only one choice is present, but it carries both pluses and minuses. Multiple approach avoidance. Many options are available, but each has positives and negatives. Theories of emotion. James Lange theory posits that environmental stimulus causes psychological changes and responses. This experience of emotion, according to this theory, is a result of psychological change now is seen as incorrect. So as we can see here, the stimulus is a threatening bear, and then you start your arousal, which is heart pounding, trembling, sweating, and running away. So now you could respond to fear. You could respond to emotion as fear. So the second one, Cannon-Barr theory, is the psychological responses to emotion. An experience of emotion occurs stimuli in response to emotion. Provoking stimulus would stimulate the thalamus. So if you can see here, the bear is the stimulus. Then the activity in the thalamus activates your body arousal, and then your conscious emotion, which is now fear. So the third one, that's two-factor theory. The first factor is the psychological arousal, and the second factor is how we cognitively label the experience of arousal. So as we can see here, the sight of the car coming towards you, and then your pounding heart, which is arousal, and then you label that fear of your body, saying I am afraid. So the fear is emotion. The emotion is fear. So stress. Stress causes a person to feel challenged or endangered. The same situation may be different values as a stressor for different people. Some stressors are transient, meaning that they are temporary challenges. Others, such those that lead to job-related stress, are chronic and can have negative impact on your health. The psychological response to stress is related to what is referred to as fight or flight response, which is enhanced into the general adaptation syndrome. The three stages are alarm. It refers to the arousal of the sympathetic nervous system, resulting in the release of various stimulatory hormones. The body is energized for immediate action, which is adaptive for transient but not chronic stressor. So resistance is the second one, is a result of parasmatic rebound. The body cannot be aroused forever, and thus parasmatic system starts to reduce the arousal state. Exhaustion phase happens when the stress response continues. The body resources are exhausted and the tissue cannot be repaired. The immune system becomes impaired as it's functioning, which is why are more susceptible to illness during the prolonged stress. So stress. The type of A pattern of behavior is typified by competitiveness, a sense of time urgency, elevated feelings of anger and hostility. Type 2 pattern is a behavior which is characterized by the low level of competitiveness, low preoccupation with time issues, and generally easygoing attitude. So that is it for motivation and emotion. The next time we meet, we're gonna be talking about developmental psychology. So hope to see you there.